Hey team, okay, today we're going to take a little look at spin bike setup. So it's something that I've been asked about quite a lot. There's a lot of newbies who are coming into these group cycle sessions and they're not 100% sure on how to set up their bike. So it's really quite straightforward. If you've ever ridden a bike before, happy days, you're halfway there. The key thing to remember about these bikes is despite the style and how they look, they pretty much do the same thing. So what you want to do is just get familiar with setting up each component so that it's comfortable for you, because let me tell you now, the seat is going to eat into you something chronic, and that's actually probably going to be the hardest part of the workout for you, is sustaining that seat, aside from the workout itself. Now, a key thing to remember with your bike setup is any lever that can move or adjust. So you'll have some on the top and the bottoms, you have some on the backs here. Now, a lot of them, like with these Star Trek ones, they do unscrew and then they pop out. So it's like a little pin lever that will unscrew and then you can pop that pin in and out just to secure it into the setting. Now, if you are using a bike like this, or the club that you're going to attend has bikes like these, you're looking at the front and the back, they will make everything go up and down. So that's the easiest way to remember it, because if it's on the front and the back, they go up and down. If it's on the top or the underside, they make things move in and out. For example, adjusting the handles, so it'll always unscrew all the way, then it pops out, and then what you'll find is you can lift and you can lower to lock it into place. The pin will pop into place, and then you can just simply tighten it up to make sure it's secure. With the top one, once it's unscrewed, again, that will make it slide towards you or away from you, and that again depends on arm length, leg length, and just comfort. So you want to set it initially at a level where you feel comfortable. You'll hear that a lot, but that's the best thing you can do for getting started, is just make it feel like it's all right. We can then go into more specific detail to make sure the bike is right for the session that you're attending. Again, set it up, tighten every lever just to make sure that it is done. The seat should be about hip height as you're stood on the floor. So that's a guide also for when you're cycling at home as well, if you have your own bike that you go out on. Approximately hip height so you get the maximum benefit from the leg rotation. Again, the lever's on the back, pull it out, and I can lift and lower. It's a rough guide. Once you think you're there, lock it into place. Again, if you find that you have longer legs, or you just don't want to be so far away, you can make the seat slide backwards and forwards to then give you that distance between the handles, and that just slides in and out, provided that you unscrew it enough. What you're then looking for, in terms of making sure the setup is approximate to start with, your elbow to your fingertips, from the seat to the handle. So if you find that you can touch elbow to fingertips, that's approximately the distance you want to be, because when you're sat on the seat, you're going to be at nice arm length with a slight bend to the elbow, and that's what you want. Again, it's comfort. If you're stretched or too bunched, you're not going to feel great, and that's going to sort of hinder the workout, but also it can lead to injury, or you just won't enjoy what you're doing. Once you are happy with that initial setup, you then do what I call the sort of the sit test. So you just climb on. Always step through first. Don't worry about putting yourself into the pedals at this point. Step onto the back of the pedal. You don't have to strap in yet, because you might have to get off to adjust the seat. So when your foot is in a down pedal and your leg is in the extended phase, there should be just a slight bend to the knee. So you're not looking for a fully extended locked out knee. You should have a slight bend, again, so it's comfortable, it can reach the bottom and you can maximize full leg rotation. Always check both sides. I know that sounds really silly, but you might have one leg slightly longer than the other. Depends on tightness, hip alignment, all of that stuff. So test both sides and then adjust the seat to the shorter leg if you do have a slightly shorter leg. Okay, that's key, so that you're not overstretching on one side, because you'll find that you'll start pulling on the back and your misrotation will lead to injury. And again, just then pedal and see how you feel. Test the handles. Am I happy? Slight bend to the elbows, shoulders relaxed, core slightly engaged, but supporting a natural curve of the spine. So don't try and sit too upright like you're in Sound of Music. Just allow the body to feel quite comfortable, and then pedal away. As you're pedaling, if you are happy and you haven't got to get off to readjust, you then start to have a look at the bike setup and what's available to you. Most bikes will have a resistance lever in the form of a little spinny lever. So it won't be something you crank, it'll just be something you turn. It's got a plus and a minus on it. Turn it to the plus, it will add resistance. Turn it to the minus, it turns it down. So it's either clockwise or counterclockwise. It also applies a brake. So the majority of bikes, if you find you lose control, pushing down on the resistance lever will apply the resistance pad and slow the legs. So that's another safety feature to be aware of if you are new, because otherwise the pedals continue to go. So it's important then, if you lose control, move your feet away from the bike. It's a safety thing, and then you can apply the brake in order to safely return back to your position. Like I said, if you need to get off and readjust, please get off, readjust, and make sure that you are set up for your initial first ride comfortably, because you'll learn. Once you've done it, it's not necessarily comfortable, but you get used to it. And particularly with the seat, in a non-gross sort of way, you harden to it a little bit, so you find that it actually works better. So, if I just climb off. In terms of the pedals have what we call cages. So the cages are on the front of the pedal, and they go over the front part of the shoe, securing your ball of your foot into that cage there. It does come with what we call a quick release strap. Now it's important to remember, now different people will process the pedals in a slightly different way. But as you go into the bike, you just simply pull the strap and it will tighten around the shoe. The reason why it's quick release is you should then allow that little strap just to hang loose, as it were. Because if you tuck it in and make it look nice and tidy, the quick release valve doesn't work. So if you needed to escape, you just pull down on the metal clip and then your foot's released and ready to go. If you tuck that strap back in, it won't allow the quick release. So if your foot gets stuck, it can potentially lead to an incident, an injury. It doesn't happen often, so please don't worry about that. But just be aware that all you need to do, pull the strap tight and it will hold your foot quite solid in place, and then simply push down on the clip when you're ready to exit the vehicle. Once you're happy with that setup, again, pedal away, give it a go, and see how you feel. Handles, different designs will have a slightly different handle. So you've got these ones here, which has a small section in the middle, and it leads all the way around into almost like a form of antlers, let's call it. Now, anywhere around this first part of the handle here, we may refer to as hand position number 1. Depending on your instructor, the courses that they've been on, they may not go into this detail and it might not be something relevant. However, I always refer to this as hand position number 1, which is a narrow position. Hand position number 2 will be anywhere around the sides here, again, just for a comfortable cycle. And hand position number 3 will usually be on the ends of the handles, and that is associated or linked with a standing position. So it's rare that you'll need to hold these in a seated position. It's normally on the ends when you go to stand. So seated tends to be hand positions 1 and 2, standing predominantly hand position 3. But again, that depends on the exercises that you're going to be following. That, my friends, is the basic setup of a spin bike. You can go into more detail, we will go into more detail, but for now, check out your clubs, see what you can do, and there is your spin bike. Thanks for joining me.